Hey everyone, it's another Battle for Earth video, this time on Drop Fleet and specifically the Drop Fleet rules that you'll get in this book. The major new feature in Battle for Earth is the brand new faction, the Resistance. The Resistance in space are even more disparate than the Resistance on the ground in terms of what they are. So they're various survivors who ran away from the Scourge during the Scourge invasion. They've not generally been in Scourge-occupied systems because they would have been wiped out a long time ago. But because the Battle for Earth is such an enormous undertaking, they get involved in various ways, and the background covers that. I'm not going to talk about background that much in this video, but that's a big factor in there. But also the Resistance encompasses Callium as well, which are a rogue colony that basically broke away from the UCM when the UCM founded. So they still build pre-war ships because they're only one colony, so they've not been able to advance technologically. But they've made up for that by building them consistently for 200 years. So as far as the miniatures go, you can build a sort of ragtag survivor fleet that's been very much cobbled together, repaired, fixed, different colour schemes, repaired civilian ships that have been turned military, all kinds of stuff. Or the other end of the spectrum, which is Callium, which is all brand new, shiny ships with nice matching colour schemes and styles, but still old vessels technologically compared to what the UCM have. That informs what they do in game very much. So generally the Resistance have a poor scan range, they're quite slow. They have pretty good armour actually, but their armour does deteriorate a lot once they get crippled. They also have an interesting mechanic in that the cruisers and frigates can be built and customised by the player, which is a new thing for Drop Fleet, which also matches the kits. So for the cruiser and frigates are both done in plastic, and the cruiser sprue has, Lewis worked out, something like 10 billion combinations of different ships that you can build, which to my knowledge is the first time anyone's ever done that with spaceships. So essentially that one sprue, you can creatively go nuts and build your ship in 10 billion different ways. In the rules, you get to choose the type of weapons you have, the type of turrets you have. They're all very obvious on the ship. On the miniature, it's very much what you see is what you get. You see that ship, you know what broadside it has, you know what turrets it have, and that will inform the rules. So you can build your cruisers and frigates. The frigates are the same. There's a mere 10 million combinations for the frigates, something like that, plenty anyway. But again, the weapons are very obvious, so you know what you're facing. The other ships, they have battle cruisers, they have grand battleships, which are basically big battleships. They're twice the weight of all the other factions' battleships, but smaller than dreadnoughts. They kind of sit between. They're quite an interesting ships, and they have various different things they can do. They have battle cruisers, which are more like the battleships of other factions, slightly less powerful, slightly cheaper, but more powerful and tougher than all the other factions' battle cruisers. You have grand cruisers, big cruisers that are fatter, tougher and slower than other cruisers. You can see where this is going. They have corvettes as well, and they'll be having other ships as well in the future. Of course, this isn't it for the Resistance, but there's an entire fleet that's fully competitively ready to play in this book. And talking about other ships, I'll expand quickly into the other factions. You've got all the ships we've built since the original core book are all in here with, beautiful photography and all the rules in the background for them. So that's all the dreadnoughts, that's the destroyers as well, and some brand new ships in the book as well, which is the monitors. Monitors, they're not all monitors. Your straightforward monitor is a frigate-sized ship with really high armour that's really slow with really good weapons. So it sits quite differently from regular frigates. They can also shoot between orbital layers with no penalty because they're defence vessels effectively. But there are other types of ships that use the monitor sculpts that are slightly different, escort ships. There's a barge for the Scourge, which is a small ship with bulk landers, which is the first for the game. So there's a lot of interesting things that fit into how you play the game for every faction, and they're all slightly different, that play to each faction's strengths and weaknesses. So those are in there too. There's also new campaigns for Drop Fleet that have been heavily used in the tournament scene at the moment, so they're pretty well played and they're popular scenarios. And there's the tree campaign, which I've mentioned briefly, that ties Drop Zone and Drop Fleet together in a system where, if you've done what to do with the campaign, it's all there and ready for you, you just have to play it. So yeah, that's the rules for Drop Fleet in general and the Resistance. There's more to it than that. This is a quick video, but that gives you a general overview. And yeah, I hope that sounds exciting for you. Can I have my phone call now?